Maplewood Diner was a popular spot in town, known for its classic American breakfast and cozy booths. It had been running for years, but not everyone knew the quiet, unassuming man who often sat in the corner booth, sipping coffee and observing the bustling scene. This man was Daniel Carter, the owner of the diner, along with several other local eateries. Daniel preferred to keep a low profile, believing that a true measure of service and business operations could only be observed under the guise of anonymity. On this particular morning, the diner buzzed with the cheerful noise of clinking cutlery and light chatter. Families, truck drivers, and young couples filled the seats. Daniel had decided to visit unannounced, blending in as just another customer. He wore simple clothes, a faded baseball cap, a plain t-shirt, and jeans, nothing that screamed owner. As he took his seat, the waitress assigned to his section walked over. Her name tag read Sarah Parker. She had been working at the diner for a few months, but her demeanor this morning was noticeably brisk, perhaps due to the morning rush. Daniel smiled politely and ordered a coffee and the breakfast special. Sarah nodded, scribbling down his order. However, before walking away, she hesitated, then turned back to Daniel. "I'll need you to pay up front," she stated, her tone implying this was non-negotiable. Daniel, puzzled, glanced around. He hadn't noticed anyone else being asked to do the same. "May I ask why?" he inquired, keeping his voice calm and friendly. "It's just a policy we have for some customers," Sarah replied vaguely, avoiding eye contact. Daniel understood immediately what was happening, but he chose to proceed with the transaction. He paid, received his meal, and ate, all the while observing Sarah's interactions with other customers. It became clear that this policy was selectively applied, and he was the only one affected. After finishing his meal, Daniel asked to speak with the manager. Mr. Harris, a middle-aged man who had been with the diner for years, arrived at his table looking concerned. "Is there something wrong with your meal, sir?" he asked. Daniel shook his head. "The meal was fine. However, I'm concerned about a policy that was mentioned to me. I was asked to pay up front, unlike other customers. Can you explain why that might be?" Mr. Harris's brow furrowed in confusion. "We don't have such a policy, sir. I'm not sure why you were asked to do that." At that moment, Daniel decided it was time to reveal his identity. "I believe it's important for you to know that I am Daniel Carter, the owner of this establishment," he declared, his tone still even but firm. The color drained from Mr. Harris's face, and a look of shock replaced the confusion. I had no idea, Mr. Carter." "I'm terribly sorry," stammered Mr. Harris. Daniel stood, smoothing his napkin. "I think this incident highlights a need for some retraining of our staff. It's crucial that all our customers are treated equally, without bias or discrimination." Sarah was called over, and the situation was explained. Her face turned pale as she realized the gravity of her mistake. Despite her apologies, Daniel made the difficult decision to let her go, emphasizing that prejudice had no place in his businesses. The next few weeks were a time of reflection and change at the Maplewood Diner. Daniel took an active role, implementing training sessions not just on customer service basics, but also on diversity and inclusion. Mr. Harris and the rest of the staff participated eagerly, understanding the importance of the lessons being imparted. The diner began to embody the principles that Daniel held dear. News of his hands-on approach and the story of his calm handling of a potentially volatile situation spread, bringing in new customers curious to experience this celebrated establishment. Under Daniel's guidance, the diner's atmosphere evolved into one that was genuinely welcoming to all. Months later, Daniel once again visited the diner incognito. This time, however, the experience was markedly different. The staff, unaware of who he was, treated him with the utmost respect and courtesy, just as they did with everyone else. Satisfied, Daniel reflected on the changes that had been made, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. He had not only preserved the diner's legacy of good food and cozy ambience, but had also strengthened its foundation on the principles of fairness and respect.